It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. And that is what we're all about, doing the greatest work of our lives. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Powerhouse Woman Show. And we are delighted because this next topic, I really believe, will resonate with so many of you. We hear a lot about reinventing ourselves. We hear a lot about how we have the power to define success on our own terms. But how do we do that? How do we have the clarity, conviction, and courage to do that? What's the mindset that requires that type of action? I'm very delighted to have joining us today the one and only Belinda Little-Wood, and she joins us from Tallahassee, Florida. And Belinda works in disaster recovery. She's a senior planner in this industry. Thank you so much for being with us, Belinda.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be with you today.
Great. And before we get into reinvention and redefining our success, were you a little girl saying, you know, when I get big, I'm going to work in disaster recovery?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Come about?
No, ma'am. That was not my goal. But what has happened over the course of my life is that I've had many experiences, and especially, of course, those of us who lived in New Orleans during Katrina. You know, I tell everybody we went through Katrina, Rita, Gustav, Ike, Isaac, and the BP oil spill. And as a result of that and working in city government during that period of time, it has really given me a background to work in that arena. And actually, I find it almost like a mission, because you're working with people, communities in the most vulnerable experience that they've probably ever had in their entire lives, especially if it's a community that's going through any kind of catastrophic event for the first time. And if you can participate in that and provide guidance and help them get back on their feet, it is such a fulfilling experience to me anyway. It's very, very hard work, I will tell you. And every community is alike in so many ways, and then they're so different in others. So, you know, you just have to be. I think
what we're talking about today really fits into it. I've been thinking about it. If there's ever a moment to reinvent and redefine, it comes out of disaster usually.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, personally, I've had to reinvent myself so many times, I don't even want to think about it. And it's because, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And when you have setbacks in your life, in your life experiences, work experiences, whatever, and then you have to turn in a different direction, it's scary, it's challenging, but it can be the most fulfilling thing that you've ever done in your entire life. And, you know, I think about resilient women, and I think about my grandmothers, both of whom had 13 children and raised them in abject poverty, and their husbands died when they were 50 years old and left, you know, 6 to 7 children under the age of 18 at home that needed to still be raised or reared. And you know what? I was very close to both of my grandmothers. I never heard a bitter word from them. I never saw them angry. They were very happy in their own skin, and they felt very fulfilled, because you know why? They were women of faith. They had compassion and passion for life. They were giving, they were generous, and they wanted everybody else to be as successful as they wanted to be. They didn't hold in a lot of things. They really helped a lot of other people. So I think that's important.
Well, let's talk a little bit about and get into reinventing yourself. And people often say that about Monica, you would always reinventing yourself. And I don't know if I do it intentionally or if it just happens. What are your thoughts, Belinda, about what it means to reinvent oneself as a powerhouse woman?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to learn how to redefine success. And what I mean by that is, you know, you set up in business in particular, and in any other project, though, even if you buy a house and you're buying a fixer-upper, you have goals that you want to try to do in terms of repairing the house. In business, you have the same process. You have a project that you set up, you have a budget, you have guidelines, you have milestones. But, what if you don't meet those milestones? Or what if you don't come in on time and on budget? Maybe you don't make as much money as you thought you were going to make. I don't consider that a failure, because every time you go through an experience like that, you come away with knowledge. You learn how to do what you were doing better, more efficiently, more profitably, and you're able to satisfy the customer better. So I don't ever say that I fail. I find some way to find success in anything that I possibly do. And I think that's really important, because it gives you a feeling of accomplishment so that you can move into the next project instead of wearing, oh, well, I didn't do that. I didn't do this. No, but what I did do is this, this, and this. And that's hard to do. That takes time. It takes experience, and experience is not something you learn. You have to experience it.
You have to experience it, absolutely. Recently, you wrote, I think, a Facebook message to me, and I was just so struck by what you said. And you said that you have eliminated the word fear from your vocabulary. And when I share that with people, they're going like, huh? How? Talk a little bit about that. And how have you been able to eliminate that word? Because oftentimes it's right there whispering in our ears not to do something.
I will have to tell you, there are times when I get anxious and I get a little worried, and I used to have that a lot, because, for so long, I felt like I had so many things being thrown at me at once. But I finally realized that if you have a strong faith, you really can't have faith and fear at the same time. Because if you truly have faith that God is in control, that if you turn over your burdens to Him, you wait for His guidance and His direction, He will give you the courage to do what He needs you to do. I was always trying to get ahead of Him and because I'm impatient, and I was trying to think, well, what if I do this? And what if I do that? And that never worked. And when I finally came to the realization, Belinda, this is not your deal. You got to turn it over and let God take care of this. Now, that didn't mean that I sat still. Of course, I was constantly in prayer. I'm constantly in prayer every day, looking for guidance and direction and wisdom and courage and endurance and perseverance and all those things that you need. But I just don't have fear anymore, because you know what? I have been through so many life experiences, and guess what? I'm still here and I'm still alive. I'm healthy as a horse. I'm still able to work. I'm 67 years old, and I'm so happy to be able to say that I'm able to work. I am physically fit. What else can I ask for? Do I have as much money as I'd like to have? Absolutely not. But, I don't know that anybody does, really. But I like what I do. I enjoy my work. I don't know when or if I will ever retire, because I don't know what I would do if I wasn't working. But that's how I got to that point. God gives us all spiritual gifts, and then He puts us through these trials and tribulations to kind of fine-tune those spiritual gifts. And I'm not perfect in any stretch of the imagination, but I certainly have garnered a lot more depth and understanding of those spiritual gifts, and I feel like I'm able to use them better.
This is so amazing. And if you had to come up with a word or description of where you are right now at 67 years old, what would that be? How would you label this part of your journey?
Well, I'm happy. I am still very anxious to learn new things. I'm a lifelong learner. I garnered that from my parents. My parents just really stressed the value of good education, because they didn't have an education, or any kind of formal education other than high school. And I had a great aunt that taught me the joy of reading, not just to read, but the joy of reading. And I feel like I have a mantra that I need to learn a new thing every day. It may be a new word, a new phrase. I don't know what it is. It may be something really small. It may be something really big. But I'm really happy where I am right now. And a lot of people can't say that. I'm not concerned about what's going to happen around the corner. I don't know what that is, but I know that if I stay on the track that I'm on right now and I maintain my faith, that it's going to be okay. I'm going to be good.
Wow, you're going to be good. We ask our guests three questions, and I'd like to get your answers. And the one question I always want is to hear your definition of a powerhouse woman, because sometimes I find people are a little timid when they hear the word that they are powerhouse women. But what's your definition of a powerhouse woman?
Well, I think more than a definition, I'll give you some characteristics, and not all powerhouse women have these, but I think there's some of the characteristics that many powerhouse women have. I think they're women of faith. I think they have hopes and dreams. I think they're passionate about life and compassionate about people. I think they have integrity. Integrity is very important to me, more important than money. I think they're good listeners. I think that they have not only compassion, but empathy for people. And I think they strive to do the very best they can do every day of their lives. And like I said, it goes back to my grandmothers, and I look at their lives, and their lives were much harder than mine. But those were the attributes that they exhibited every day. Now, those are kind of feelings, emotions, and ideas that you have internally, but they express themselves in how you react, how you take care of yourself, you react to other people, and how you respond to people.
That's at the core. Next question. The best piece of advice you've ever received, and maybe how have you implemented it in your life?
Okay, a couple of things. And don't laugh when I say this, and I don't mean to be crass. However, somebody once told me that life's a bitch and then you die. Okay. Well, and what they meant was, don't expect life to be a bed of roses. You're going to it's going to be tough. You're going to be good some days you're going to be bad. And you know what? When I was raising my boys, when they would, give me this, they would start whining and then I say, you know what? Life's a bitch and then you die. Maybe that wasn't the right thing to say, but they still remember that. But it stuck with me, and it's kind of gotten me through some things that I didn't think I was going to get through. And then another thing is, like I mentioned earlier, my parents were very encouraging in terms of learning. And that's why I'm a lifelong learner. And I think education and knowledge is incredibly powerful. And then, I worked for an entity back in the early 80s that was just getting started. And the director always said that he never failed. He always just redefined success. And, we talked about that earlier. And I said, I laughed when he said that. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that's true. Because everything you do, the end goal may not be reached that you thought you were going to reach, but you always learn something for it. So there is some level of success there.
Well, you are a powerhouse woman, Belinda Little-Wood, and we definitely want to get your parting piece of advice for other powerhouse women out there. What's your advice to them?
Stay strong, stick to your goals, stick to your beliefs. I think that's more important than everything else. Don't be influenced by people that are not good influencers. Choose the circle of friends that you want to have that are supportive and that display the goals and the morals and the intentions that you have in your life. I think that's very, very important.
Well, we have really enjoyed having you on with us as well. Thank you. And how can people find you or reach out to you?
Well, my email address is Belinda, BELINDA @BLittlewood.com.
Simple enough. Thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate it.
Enjoyed it, Monica. Have a good day.
Yes, and everybody continue the powerhouse conversations. It's so important.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Powerhouse Woman Show. Make sure you're a subscriber and join us live every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central for the Powerhouse Woman Show.